That was Blackstreet, Before I Let You Go. So I heard a conservative commentator, and he was talking about, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And he made the point, he said, when I get on a plane, I want to make sure the person's qualified. When I intimating that basically if you see a black pilot, that person isn't qualified. To a lot of people, qualified is a pseudonym for white. It means white to a lot of people. I've heard a bunch of comedians, two comedians that I respect and like, make the same comparison. I'm not racist. I just want to make sure that these people are qualified. They are making forwarding the idea that white is qualified. Now, if we look at what happens in Harvard, for instance, right? Harvard gives away 700 people are allowed interest into Harvard, right? Out of those people, they have legacy, they have people who are donors, and they have people who get scholarships. There are about 20 black people, between black and brown people, who get allowed into Harvard, for example. Do you think that those people are more qualified than the people who had to pass all those hurdles? Do you think they're actually more qualified? Let's take, for example, George Bush Jr. was a legacy. Barack Obama was not. Who is brighter and who's more qualified? That's just a real thing. I'm not talking about political ideology aside. If Donald Trump had comported himself like Barack Obama, Republicans would love him. But who do you think is actually more qualified? The legacy guy or the guy who had to pass through all the hurdles to get through? Who would you rather have proudly representing the United States? The ignorant doof or a guy who's polished, accomplished, educated, urbane, and sophisticated? It's not even close. To connote the idea that you are only qualified if you're white, and it tells you what the dilemma we're in. That means that when somebody walks in for a certain job that they don't traditionally see black people in, that somebody with a different color is automatically given an advantage. If somebody goes, this looks like somebody who looks like the person I want flying the plane, he has a better advantage than somebody who looks like me, even though I might be more qualified. That is why we need diversity, equity, and inclusion, because people would lean to their own devices. You would get on a plane, go, this nigga can't fly this plane. That's what you would do. And we do it all over. We do it as CEOs. There's a reason there are no CEOs that are black. We do it in networks or publications or any enterprise that is endeavor. You automatically deal with people's biases because they see a thing and think something else. The only reason that we have the things that we have is because the government made people do it. They made them do it. And they're attacking diversity, equity, and inclusion as another way of racism. As another way of saying you can only be qualified, literally. Donald Trump and George W. Bush, the last two Republican presidents we had, right, were legacies. Look at what they did. Look at what they did. I'm just talking about the way they handled themselves, the things that we're in a war that we'll never get out of now. The economy crashed. Our reputation suffered. But who would you have literally? If I took Barack Obama's resume and the way he spoke, put them next to George Bush's and put them next to Donald Trump, you wouldn't even hesitate to pick Barack Obama. Because that passes the real test. That passes what is real. The optics, you will pick somebody else. Diversity, equity, inclusion are the only thing that is keeping us at least on a semi-path to fairness. Because you can't tell somebody what to think. If I get on a plane and somebody's naturally inclined to believe that this looks like it's supposed to and this doesn't, anything, tell me anything that you can see a black person, a brown person, a woman in that they haven't traditionally been in, that they're not better at the person. You can look at Tanya Brown Jackson. She's who was a Supreme Court nominee. Look at her resume and compare it to anybody else who ever was on the Supreme Court. Stop saying and believing the notion that you are qualified. That would mean that you're born qualified and you're born disqualified. You're white, you're right. If you're black, you're wrong. If you're a woman, you're wrong. If you're brown, you're wrong. I get on a plane. This is what I know. I know that if a black man made it through the hoops and hurdles you got to get to fly a plane for major airlines, that nigga did everything right. Everything. And he had to beat out everybody, including people that have the idea that you can only be qualified if you're white. That's a little note from the GED section. Got the Jazz Report coming up in 15 minutes. It's the D.L. Hughley Show.